Good morning. Oh, that's very loud. Okay, so as we get started, we want to take just a minute to introduce ourselves to you. My name is Kaylee Brown, and I am the Dean of Student Support Services and the Title IX Coordinator for Students. And to my right, I have Jeffrey Allen, Dean of Enrollment and Outreach, who also oversees Code of Conduct. And also to my right, I have Sean Newton, our Chief of Police. And so he's going to talk to you as well about campus security. Thank you, guys. All right, so we're going to get started first with Title IX. And what Title IX is, it says that no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, denied the benefits of, be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial aid. So as you guys know, we are an institution that participates in federal student aid, so therefore we have to adhere to Title IX. Typically, this encompasses most of items related to sexual violence as part of sexual harassment. Some of the things that we're required to do, anytime our federal government wants to implement a change, they issue a Dear Colleague letter, or they want to issue guidance. We receive a lot of these in the world of financial aid. But we are required to have Title IX coordinators. We were, several years ago, required to revise our policies and procedures to encompass Title IX. And then we're required to do training and participate in activities to make our campus and our responsible employees aware of these requirements, aware of our policies, and aware of our procedures. So for our employees, our Title IX coordinator is Tomvi. For myself, I'm for students, and then we have Kathy Davis, who serves as a Title IX investigator. And so you may be asking, what does this apply to? Or how does this impact me? Well, sexual misconduct includes all of us, faculty, staff, and students. Any complaint for a student comes to me. Any complaint for an employee or a third-party vendor is going to go to Tomvi. We do have all of our policies listed in the APM, sexual harassment, sexual assault, and then our sexual misconduct policy. They're all in Chapter 2. And I'm not going to read those to you because they are several pages, but I do encourage you to take a few minutes to read through those policies so that you're more aware of all-encompassing for sexual misconduct. Oftentimes we get information about, well, what does this include, or what does sexual misconduct prohibit? And as you can see, it's mostly related to sexual violence, rape, assault, domestic violence, relationship violence. Bullying can fall under Title IX, especially if it's pervasive, persistent, stalking, and of course sexual harassment. So when an individual files a complaint, or notifies a responsible employee, then here's what the college is required to do. We're required to investigate. We're required to take appropriate steps to end the misconduct. We're required to eliminate any effects of the misconduct and prevent it from happening again, or prevent it from reoccurring. And you might be asking, well, who is a college responsible employee? And that's you. That's all of us. So some of you may encounter or have a relationship with a student, like I think of a student that you're teaching. They may feel more comfortable coming to you about something that has happened before they even know who I am. And so it's really important that if a student comes to you, or another employee comes to you, or if you yourself experience this, that you make us aware of it immediately. And so we're going to go on. So we do have information on our Title IX webpage. We actually have a form that employees and students can submit. It's a WUFU form, as we like to call them. And then when those forms when they're submitted, Tomvi and I will receive those, and then we will start to complete our investigation along with Kathy Davis. And so one thing to know, that if you have a student or that you have another employee come to you regarding a sexual misconduct, then you can't promise confidentiality. You need to do everything in your power not to broadcast it across campus, but just know that as we start an investigation, sometimes we may be able or we may not be able to have complete confidentiality in that. Several years ago, under President Obama, guidance was issued related to how to proceed with the Title IX investigation, what should be included in your procedures. We are currently anticipating that the current administration is going to actually put some of those policies or those guidance into regulations. And so right now, we are kind of waiting to hear more from DC about if we have to change any of our policies or if we have to change our procedures. So right now, what we have is based on our guidance that we received several years ago. And so, again, if you have contact with a student or another employee who indicates to you that some type of sexual misconduct has happened, call me, pick up the phone, submit our form so that we can start that investigation. Don't share that with your neighbor. Don't broadcast it to the entire department, because we want to protect the confidentiality as best as we can of the person who has experienced sexual misconduct. So at this time, yes. Oh, that's a good point. Sorry, I forgot. Thank you, Sean. Anything related to sexual misconduct doesn't have to happen on campus. In fact, probably more of our incidents that we have investigated have actually happened off campus. And so students are very overwhelmed by what has happened. And so just know that as we are doing an investigation and we are talking with a student or an employee, then we're going to put support services in place to support them, to walk with them through whatever has happened. And so just know that you may have a student come to you, or you could have an employee come to you and say that I was raped over the weekend when I was in DC with my friends. And so those things are real and they do happen. And so just because the event doesn't happen on Vance-Granville's campus doesn't mean that we ignore it. And so please make sure that if a student or an employee comes to you, that you're reporting that appropriately so that we can begin an investigation and offer support services as needed. Anything else I'm forgetting? No? All right. I'm going to turn it over to Sean.
Thank you. Good morning. Sorry, I can't stand behind a podium. As Kaylee stated, my name is Sean Newton. I'm the Chief of Police here at Vance-Granville, and we're going to talk just how to contact us, some of our policies that we have in regards to active shooter, some of our emergency procedures, where you can find them, how you can print those out, so we're all on the same page when an emergency does occur. To contact us, 252-738-3373, or just dial 3373 from your IP phone. That rings to the campus police department. We will be able to dispatch to any of the satellite campuses. So if you're at a satellite campus, don't call the officer directly unless you happen to be there with and you see the person. You can call this number and we will dispatch. That way we can keep track of who's doing what and what complaints are coming in. One of the things we have to do for federal guidelines is we have to document every incident that's reported to us. And at the end of the year, I have to do what's called an annual security report. And we just sent that out in October. And that lists all of our complaints that meet Clery criteria. We also have to provide a daily activity log, so anyone can look and see what has occurred on that campus for that day. So that's why it's very important that you call us directly so we can document it and update our daily activity log. So 3373, any red phone that's located on the main campus, just pick that up. That is not for emergencies only. That is to contact the campus police. It rings directly to the 3373. We do not want that for emergencies only. Some people are afraid to pick it up. They think it should only be for emergencies. It's not. Anytime you need to get a hold of them and you just can't remember the number, if you buy a red phone, pick it up. Currently, unfortunately, we don't have any of those phones that are satellite campuses, but we are looking to include that in our future, and possibly some what are called blue stations that you might see out in the parking lot, where if you're in the back parking lot, you can press a button and someone can talk to you. Those are some of the things that we're working on. We also have anonymous reporting. That's, again, another woo-foo. That's on our campus police webpage. We're required to provide anonymous reporting. So if you have a crime that you don't want your name involved in, you can do the anonymous reporting. We can investigate. The one thing I will say when it comes to any criminal investigation, it's very difficult for us to pursue charges with an anonymous report. We need a complainant. So we may not be able to do any criminal charges, but we can at least investigate it and maybe address the behavior or stop it from occurring. But just so you know, the anonymous is a little bit more difficult for us, but it's still something we want you to do. If that's what you feel is what you want to do, we want you to do it. So at Vance-Granville, we follow the run, hide, fight model. This is from the Department of Homeland Security, put on by the FBI. I was at a conference a couple months ago, so I can't take credit for this, but the person stated this should be called run or hide or fight. Some people think that you have to do those steps in that order. I have to run first, then I have to hide, then I have to fight. That's not the case. This is something that you can do. It's not what you're required to do. And in the event of an active shooter, if you can run, then run. If the active shooter's in your vicinity and you determine it's safe to do so, if there's an escape path, attempt to evacuate. Evacuate whether others agree or not. That one's a little bit more of a difficult one, especially for teachers. That is your classroom. You are in charge of that classroom. We're not. You may tell everyone we need to evacuate, and if people, again, they're scared, they don't know what to do, and they freeze, it's going to be up to you to make that determination, what you want to do. If you do decide to stay, then we'll talk about what to do when it comes to hide. Leave your belongings. Don't worry about your laptops. Don't worry about your book bags. Don't worry about your purse. Get out. Help others escape if possible. Prevent others from entering the area. What that means is as you're leaving, if other people are leaving and they want to run into your classroom, you're telling them, no, we're leaving too. Keep going. Follow me. We're going to go to the parking lot. Call 911 when you're safe. Don't worry about it as you're running. Get to safety. Once you're at a safe place, call 911. Tell them what's going on. Tell them what building it's occurring in. Give them your description. Give them any description that you have if you have seen the shooter. I want to get back real quick. On our public safety webpage, that's the link to the video. You can watch it. It's about a 5-minute video. I'm not going to play it here today, but we encourage everyone to watch the video. Hide. So if you can't evacuate, find a place to hide. Lock or barricade your door. If you can't lock your door for whether you don't have a key, you forgot your key, whatever the case may be, you normally probably have desks. You have something big that you can put in front of that door. Silence your cell phone. Hide behind large objects. Spread out. This is one of the things that's changed, especially after the shooting at the daycare. We were always taught to huddle together, hide in a corner. We don't teach that anymore. Spread out. Okay? And that's going to help us with the next phase of this. But in Newtown, Connecticut, a couple years ago. I'm sorry. Not here. No. So spread out. Turn off the lights. Remain quiet. Try to be out of the shooter's view. Don't stand in front of a window. Provide protection if shots are fired in your direction, and try not to become trapped or restrict your options for movement. That may be difficult if you're in a classroom that only has one door in and out and has no windows, or the windows aren't you're not able to open. And here's your other option. As a last resort, and if your life's in danger, fight. Be prepared to fight. You put that in mindset, because what we've learned, what law enforcement's learned is once this shooter is confronted, whether it's by law enforcement or by a citizen, they generally do two things, one of two things. They give up or they commit suicide. So once they're confronted, generally, they will stop their active shooting. So hopefully that's law enforcement. We're not asking you to do it, but what we're trying to say is if as a last resort you have no other choice, if you confront that person, you have a greater chance actually of not being shot than if you just hide in a room and just don't do anything. Act with physical aggression. Use improvised weapons. You have a lot of weapons in your classroom for this incident. But a book, a laptop, a chair, thank you. Think outside the box. Do whatever you think needs to be done and commit to your actions. Once you do it, stay with it. So our emergency management plan can be found on the employee portal under college documents. So on the internal website, everyone has access to the entire emergency management plan. In that plan, there's a whole bunch of people that are named of what their responsibilities are and things like that. But our Appendix B is what to do in case of an emergency. That can be found on our campus police website. So everyone has access to that. That spells out what our response to an emergency should be, whether it's a fire, whether it's a bomb threat, a natural gas leak. There's stuff for plant operations in there if the power goes out. So it's not just for us. It's what the college is going to respond to. Weather events. So it gives guidance. It gives phone numbers, people to call if something happens. We encourage everyone to print out a copy. Keep it in your office. Keep it in your classroom. We are working on some little booklets or laminated ones that we're going to keep by the doors for easy access to everyone. But we still encourage you, just print out a copy and keep it with you. One of the things that I wanted to mention before I turn it over to Dean Allen is our response to incidences and who to call, and there's always a lot of confusion. I didn't know if I should call. I didn't know what I should do. If you have an incident that occurs that normally you would call the police if you were at home, then call us. Okay? Don't worry about I wasn't sure if I should. Just call us. We'll take the report. If it's nothing that we really can be investigated, that's fine. We'll let you know. But we'd rather know than not know. We encourage you to call us directly. If something that you see can affect your campus that you happen to be at, after you talk us, make sure you reach out to the campus dean or one of the administrative assistants and say, hey, this just happened. I want you to know. I called the campus police. They're going to look into it, but I wanted you to be aware also. Generally, we'll follow up with the dean also, and we'll let them know we had an incident here so we can work together to try and resolve it, whether it's a student issue, whether it's broken unsafe steps, whatever the case may be. But we encourage you to reach out to them also. But call us first, and then you can reach out to them. Call, if it's an emergency and you're not sure if we're working, call 911 first. Any medical emergencies, active shooter, anything like that, if you would normally call 911, please call 911. We encourage you to do that. We have radios. We contact with outside law enforcement, medical agencies, so we have communications with them. Or someone will call us and let us know, and then we'll respond also. But after you call 911, if they let you hang up, feel free to call us then and say, hey, I just called 911. It's for this. I just wanted you to know. If you dial 911 from an IP phone, it will send us a text message stating that 911 was dialed from this cell phone, and then we can follow up. We'll usually call, see what's going on. If we don't get a response, we'll try and send an officer, security officer, whoever, to go over there and see what's going on. If you call from your cell phone, then we don't have that. So we encourage you, if you can, or have someone else maybe say, hey, call the campus police because we have a medical emergency, we have this, and I'm on the phone with 911. Oh, and I just want to piggyback on what Kaylee had stated. When it comes to the sexual harassment or any Title IX, if someone comes to you and states, we'll use the example, that they were sexually assaulted off campus over the weekend, one of the things to please make sure is you give them all the options, and the one option is we have a campus police department. If you want me to contact them for you, I will. Do you want them to come here and investigate? If that person says, no, I do not want the police involved, please do not call us. Okay, because that does violate some of the confidentiality regulations that the federal government has put on this. If it's determined that it's a risk factor to the rest of the campus community, then Kaylee will call us, or Tanvi will call us. And that's where she had said we can't guarantee confidentiality, especially if it puts other students at risk. So if there's an incident there where, yes, it occurred off campus, but we know that that person is still, let's say the suspect is still out there, and they're still looking for the victim, the survivor, and so we know that they may come on campus, that affects the campus community. So Kaylee will call us and say, hey, we have this situation. She didn't want it reported to you. However, we're scared, they're nervous that the person's going to come on campus. So then we will investigate. Another example I use is we have the example of the sexual assault that occurred over the weekend. If someone comes to you and says, I was just assaulted in the bathroom, and there's the person running down the hall, then we don't have confidentiality. We don't have to worry about telling them, well, we have campus police. No. Call 911 or call the campus police right away because we have an immediate threat on campus. So again, that's where the confidentiality does not come in. So some things override that. So I just want to really stress that to people because it is confusing. We do get a lot of phone calls when I don't say a lot, but we get the phone calls when this happened. I'm not sure who I should have called. So that's the steps. If it's not an immediate threat, do the Title IX. If you feel it's an immediate threat, then call us right away. And then Kaylee, if you don't determine it's an immediate threat, but Kaylee or Tanvi thinks it's going to be an immediate threat, then they'll contact us. I have a question. A lot of... Uh-huh. Do you know when this was? I'll get with you afterwards because I haven't heard anything either. So, Priscilla? Well, again, that's where you will talk to the person and find out if it's an immediate threat. If it is an incident that occurred 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the person's just now reporting it and said, I think it's one of the students, then I would just do the Title IX, and then Kaylee will determine, or Tanvi. They'll probably call us to be honest with you, and say, hey, they won't give us any names, but they're going to say, this is what we got, what do you think? And then we'll reach out to Dean Allen, and we'll try and come up as a college community to figure out, do we want us to investigate or what we're going to do? If the student states this happened last night, and I went and got a warrant for the person, but they haven't served it yet, and he's right here, that's a different story. So it really does come down to circumstances. Sorry, you're right. The question was, what if we have the accuser and the accused are both students? Then what do we do? Again, if it's an immediate threat, we'll investigate, but if it's determined not to be, Kaylee or Tommy will. Another question.
We're talking about a situation where if a student comes to us and something happened off campus and we don't have to report it, you said do not call campus police. Are we still responsible for contacting the
Yes. The question is, if an incident is occurred off campus, student comes to you, employee comes to you and says, this is what happened, but I do not want to call the campus police. As a responsible employee, yes, you are required to let the Title IX coordinator know. They'll determine if an investigation needs to be done or not. You will let that person know, I am required to notify our Title IX. They will try and keep you confidential as much as possible, but here's the next step. And then you'll explain what the next, it's going to go to a Title IX coordinator. They're going to call you to try and investigate. Okay, any other questions? I'm going to turn it over to Dean Allen, but like I said, feel free to call us for anything that you have, whether it's an emergency or not, and we're here to help you.
All right, thank you, Chief. Let's take a minute to kind of reflect. So you guys are in groups at your table. I'm a teacher, so I like to do this. So talk with your folks at your table. I understand what's going on. I'm a little fuzzy on a couple things. I have a question. So you guys talk about at your table what you've heard so far about Title IX and campus police. So go ahead and do that. So yeah, say hello, good morning, smile at them. So good to see you. And talk about it a little bit. What you've heard so far. Let's reflect a little bit. So you may be saying, I'm a little fuzzy on this, I'm still a little fuzzy, or I understand totally Title IX, I can be a Title IX coordinator. We need another investigator. You're right. All right, so let's wrap the conversation up a little bit. If anybody at your table has a question, this is the time now to ask that question. Still great discussion going on. Awesome. So if you're watching via YouTube, you have a question, you need to refresh your screen and the chat box will come up and you can type your question in and Chase will let us know what the question is. So how y'all feeling about Title IX? Thumbs up, you feel good about it? Thumbs up, thumbs this way. Thumb, I don't really understand what's going on. Thumbs up, everybody? Awesome. How you feeling about campus police? You understand the run or hide or fight model? Thumbs up. All right, thumbs this way, I don't know. Thumbs down. All right, good, good. So discipline. So last summer, Kaylee became dean in December of last year, and Kaylee took over Title IX. And as we continued to merge, and when student services became under our wonderful vice president, and we began to talk through things, discipline was something that needed to go somewhere. And I know she's gonna get me, but she asked me, Dean Allen, I'm gonna need for you to take over discipline. I said, sure, I am here to serve. And so here I am overseeing discipline. And so discipline, if there is an emergency, as Sean said before, please call campus police or 911 if there is an emergency. For example, if a fight breaks out in the classroom or somewhere on the college campus, don't call Dean Allen. Call campus police or 911. That should be your first call if a fight breaks out. That is an emergency because there is a threat to the safety of the campus community when there's a fight happening on campus. And so you need to call 911 or campus police. Then you can call Dean Allen, because I'm pretty sure Sean would call me by then and say, Dean Allen, there is a fight on campus and we're heading to the situation now. So please understand, if there is a threat to the safety of the campus community, you need to call campus police or 911. So a lot of this, even though the three of us and what we do with Title IX, campus police, and discipline, we overlap, we work together, we collaborate, there is a judgment that you have to think through some situations. For example, Kaylee talked about bullying. So with bullying, it is something that falls under Title IX, but she also said, is it persistent? Is this something that's ongoing? Or this is an isolated incident? This is something you have to think about. Should I report it as a discipline issue? Should I report it as a Title IX issue? Or should I do both? Because there's a possibility that all three of us could have the same investigation going on for the same incident. That is a possibility. It could be a Title IX, it could be a disciplinary, and it can be a criminal investigation with campus police because of the nature of the situation. So all three of those things can be going on. So you have to think through some things and talk about it and figure out, where should I go with this? What's the best opportunity? What should I do? If it is discipline, it should be a violation of the code of conduct, which is in your student catalog. So if you read all the different violations, something, whatever has happened discipline-wise, should violate or should fall under one of those incidents in our code of conduct, because that's where I go to. If you send me something in Starfish, if you're a faculty member or you're a staff member who doesn't have access to Starfish and you send me an email, I am going to go to the code of conduct and see where does this fall, because that's where discipline begins. If it's something that the student is disrespectful, then that is in our code of conduct, and then we will start there. So when you're doing code of conduct violations for faculty members in curriculum, we send those through Starfish. So Starfish has a code of conduct violation flag. That flag comes directly to me. Does it go to you, Chief? I don't think it doesn't go to you. No. And so it goes directly to me. So I will respond to that. Normally what happens when I get a flag, I send you an email saying I am in receipt of this code of conduct violation. I will give you some feedback as soon as possible, because investigation has to happen. You know, the student, I will call the students in. If it's more than one student, I will call them in. I will get their side of the story. I will talk with you, find out what happened, what you saw, what you witnessed, things of that nature. And then we'll talk through what we need to do with that student. There are various different things that I've done with students who violate the code of conduct. They can get a reprimand, they can receive warnings, they can be suspended, they can be expelled. Just depending on what the issue demands. I try to work with students. Most definitely I try to support. I want to make sure I'm clear. I support the faculty. I want to make sure I support the faculty. But at the same time, I want to make sure I hear both sides of the story and make a fair judgment according to the student. What's going on with the student, excuse me. So if you're a faculty member, you're a staff member, you'll send an email. And I put my email up there. When you're writing details, I cannot stress, put the facts, not your opinion. I think the student is depressed. No, don't put that. Don't put that. Because you're putting that in writing, and I don't think anyone at the campus is qualified to diagnose depression. That is a licensed professional counselor, therapist, psychologist. That's what they do. So I wouldn't put that. I think the person has mental health issues. No, don't put that, because that's in writing. That's permanent. And so put what happened. I like things like this. Student was in the class. Student was not doing what was asked. Student became disrespectful by saying, and write what the student said. If the student said some words that you don't normally use, I need to know what those words are. Because when I ask that student, did you say this? And I will repeat it to that student, I need to be able to say, now, They said that you use profanity. So I have to go back to you and ask, well, what did the student say? Well, I don't know, I'm uncomfortable repeating it. No, I'm gonna need for you to say what the student said. Because when I go to the student, did you call your instructor blank, blank, blank? And you can fill in the blank whatever words you want to. And I need to be able to, I'm serious, y'all, these are things I get. And I need the student to respond to that. I need the student to respond. So put what happened. Use facts, not opinions. So a disciplinary investigation will happen. Again, we will meet with students. I try to get disciplinary investigations over with in a timely manner, but student schedule, it just depends what's going on. If it's something that needs I need to immediately talk with someone, I will go to the classroom, I will pull the student out of class. These are things if we need to immediately deal with this situation. But most of the time, I try to get them done in a timely manner. One of the things I really want to emphasize today is engage with our campus community. Even if you're not in the classroom and you're walking around on campus and you see students might be doing some things they shouldn't be doing, they're not being productive, it's okay to walk up to that student and say, hello, how are you doing today? My name is such and such, and I am such and such here at the college. Is everything all right? 9 times out of 10, that student gonna straighten up. They're gonna straighten up. I remember there were some students out here in the parking lot, and they were getting ready to light up a cigarette right there in the parking lot, packing Newports, I believe it was. And I walked out there, and I said, hello, my name is Jeff Allen, Dean of Enrollment Outreach. How are y'all doing today? You know, this is a smoke-free campus. We do not smoke on this campus. Could you please put your cigarettes up and have a great day? And I walked off. And they put those cigarettes in their pocket and they went on to class. And so you have to make sure that you engage with the campus community. 9 times out of 10, if you walk over to students and speak to them and talk to them, they'll straighten up. Now you'll have that one sometimes who don't pay you any mind. That's when you need to do whatever you need to do to make sure that we address what that student is doing. Send email, starfish. If it's a threat to the safety of the campus community, call 911 or the campus police, and they will be there to deal with the situation. Again, emergency, call campus police or 911. Any questions concerning discipline? One thing I wanted to say was discipline that happens on our other campuses, Warren, Franklin, South Campus. Typically, I collaborate with the campus dean there because they are on that campus. I'm here on Main, and so therefore I will get in contact with the campus dean and let them know, hey, this situation has occurred. Can you investigate? Can you talk with the students? Can you talk with the faculty or staff member? And we'll collaborate, and we will come up with whatever sanctions need to happen or whatever plan to correct the behavior of the student. Questions? So, no questions. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. No, we do not have anything in place of that nature. We'll open door admissions policy so people can come in and out. We do not do background checks for any of our students that apply. We do not do, thank you, Chase. Just speak louder. Oh, repeat the question. I just said, you're right. She was asking, the question came up about, do we have any type of system in place that alerts anyone if a student may be a possible threat to the campus community? Am I saying that correctly? Maybe there's a potential, okay. Yeah. And so we don't necessarily have a system in place. We're in a community that people know everybody. So people may know some things that happen in the community about certain people, but anybody could do something on this campus who doesn't have any type of background whatsoever. So what I would suggest in that is that if you want to make one of us aware of what's going on with that student, there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, that student has the same rights as any other student on this campus. And just like I said, a person who may not have any potential threats or whatever in their background outside of this campus could be a threat to the campus community. So again, making sure that we are talking with students, being observant what's going on in our campus community, not just walking by something that you know that's going on. If you see something, say something. And that say something just doesn't mean say something to one of us. You can, if you feel comfortable, I don't want to put anybody in an uncomfortable position, but if you feel comfortable, and you should, these are our students. These are our students. And we should feel comfortable, and they should feel comfortable talking with us. If you see something, feel comfortable in talking with the student about what's going on. Any other questions? All right, let's reflect again. Get to your groups. Talk about what you've learned so far. Talk about some things that I got a little clarity on that now, and I'm still a little fuzzy. So let's turn around, smile again, and talk to your folks at your table right quick. No questions? No one in TV land has a question? Or YouTube land? Okay. All right. Everybody feeling well? Thumbs up. We feeling okay? Oh, awesome. Thumbs this way, not so. Thumbs down. All right. So if there's a fight on campus, if you're seeing people, they're having a brawl out on the yard, what you gonna do? Who you gonna call? Campus security or 911? Do you call Jeff immediately? I'm number 2. Call me second. Back in the day, I broke up one fight in my whole 20 years in education. One fight. I was a first-year teacher, and I thought I was going to be Superman that day and jump in the cafeteria. I was on lunch duty, and these 2 students broke out. I mean, they were really going at it. And I jumped over, and just to say, I will never break up another fight ever again. And so please lead it to the trained professionals. So if a student comes to you and they say they were raped this weekend, what would you do? This past weekend, they came to you and they said they were raped. What would you do? Absolutely. Most definitely get in touch with Kaylee and also ask the student, is it okay for me to get in contact with the campus police about this? If a student is, and this is more for faculty, I don't know how many faculty members in here, I see a couple. If a student is consistently tardy to your class, what would you do? Document starfish. What else? Let the advisor know. May want to just talk with the student, get in touch with their advisor, academic career coach, and so doesn't necessarily raise to the level of discipline. You would talk with the student, work with the student, things of that nature. If a student is in your class and they call another student a name that you typically don't use, a word that you typically don't use, or you may use, I don't know, but you don't use that word. You don't use it at work, I hope. What would you do? The other student did not react. The other student did not say anything back. You just heard the student use this language. It could be out in the yard, could be in the class, so it can be for staff and faculty. What would you do? You got to think through this one a little bit. What would you do? You gonna mind your own business? That's an option. That's true. Okay. What else? Any other opinions? Yeah. I would try to maybe speak to the student, walk up to him, introduce myself and say, hey man, or young lady, I heard what you said. You may not want to use language like, is something going on? Can we talk this through? We also have a counselor on campus, Miss Kathy Davis, that if you got some issues that you want to talk through, she's available to talk with you. Who's your academic career coach? Things of that nature to kind of find out what's going on, because we don't want anyone to feel disrespected. Yes, the student did not respond to it, but the student may not want it to cause a conflict on campus either. Because that student is saying, I don't want to really get into a fight, I don't want to get into an altercation with this student. And maybe a whole lot of things going on that we don't know. And because we approach that student and we talk with that student, we may find some other things out. Yeah. Absolutely. So it's a couple ways you can approach that. And this is where your judgment has to step in here. Anything else? Yes. She was, no, she was asking that. Okay.
The question was if a student reported that they were raped over the weekend, should I call Kaylee and let my campus dean know? And you need to call me, and not report that unless there's immediate threat to your campus community, but not report that. Because again, we want to keep things as confidential as possible, and we want to try to gather all the facts as we're going through an investigation, and so we don't need that broadcast across campus. And so if it's a situation like that you've mentioned, then no. If once I have the information, if I need to make the campus dean aware of that, then certainly I will do that. If I need to call in Sean, then certainly. Yeah.
I just want to mention one thing about confidentiality. It's to the point now where, I do the annual security report. Let's just say we had an assault occur in an office. On my annual security report and on my daily activity log, I can't, or I should not, put in the office number of where that occurred. I have to kind of be as vague as possible. I can mention the building number, but see, if I mention that office number, then other people would say, oh, probably this happened to so-and-so. So they really want to try and, as much as possible, make it confidential. But once Kaylee investigates, and especially if it's determined that this could be an issue, chances are the campus dean is going to be involved. So when we say confidential, we don't mean only one person's going to know. We just mean it's not going to get out. We're going to try our best not for the whole campus community to know what occurred to the survivor. So like I said, chances are the campus dean will be notified that there was an issue, especially if they have to make arrangements for different classrooms, move somebody, because those are some options that can be done that the college can do.
So I think we've come to the end. If you don't remember anything else, Title IX, call Kaylee. If there's an emergency on campus and there's a threat to the safety of the campus community, please call campus police or 911. If there's a fight, call Jeff Second. But most importantly, if you remember, please engage with your campus community. Talk with our students. They are on campus. They are here. They are our students. We are their faculty and staff. Just engage with them. And you'll see that a lot of the things that we deal with, they will be cut down to a minimum because they will have that type of rapport and that relationship with us to come and talk to us about different things. Madam Vice President, anything you want to add? Thank y'all so much for coming. We appreciate you. YouTube, y'all have a great day.
Good morning. So I'm supposed to tell everybody who's live streaming that we're live streaming. And so if you're on YouTube, we're on YouTube and we're live streaming. So good morning. My name is Dawn Michelle Tucker, and I serve Vance-Granville as Dean for Continuing Education and Adult Basic Skills. And today, we as a team are going to experience diversity training. So everybody put on your seatbelts and get ready to roll, because I am very excited about being able to share this with you and hope that there is a positive impact on you moving forward. And so that said, let's go ahead and get started with what I plan to accomplish. Okay, so this is what I hope to accomplish. We're going to have an icebreaker activity, and I hope that that icebreaker activity is successful. And then we're going to answer the question, diversity, and then we're going to talk about diversity, and then we're going to be excited about the benefits of diversity. Okay? So y'all ready? All right. Here we have our icebreaker activity. So your icebreaker activity is the gray sheet of paper that I ask you to keep turned over. It's still a secret. All right. So the game is going to be called Human Bingo. Has anyone ever played Human Bingo before? Okay, so some people know and understand how to play Human Bingo. So what we're going to have to do, just to give you an idea, we are going to have to get up and move around, which is one of the reasons why I kind of wanted everybody close by. You're going to have to get up and move around. So we'll just use this space to move around, here to move around, to play Human Bingo. Here are the rules. When you're playing Human Bingo, you want to think about bingo. You're going to, each person can only sign your sheet once. So this is going to be an interactive activity. Each person can sign your Human Bingo only once. And you can only ask each person that you approach 2 questions. And you have to ask them questions. You cannot give them your card and say, sign in a space that fits you. You can't do that. You have to be strategic about your questions, and you have to ask everybody exactly 2 questions. So, if everybody will turn their Human Bingo over, you have 1 minute to strategize. And of course, the goal is that you're going to get 5 signatures in a row, or initials, diagonally, horizontally, or vertically. You cannot sign your own, you cannot initial your own card. Yes, ma'am. Yes, those are the questions that you're asking. Yes, the questions are based on the blocks, because you're trying to get the blocks filled in so that you can yell bingo. And we're going to take 10 minutes for this activity. So if everybody will go ahead and get up, make sure you have a writing utensil. You're going to have a writing utensil. And if everyone will just go ahead and, get up and let's get ready to go, because I'm going to start the timer now. So you start asking questions. 2 questions. You have to ask questions. Sign off. Only 1 signature. You have to ask questions. You can't just give them your card and say, sign here. You can only ask 2 questions. You can ask me questions too. No, you have to ask everybody, but you can only ask them 2 questions. So you got to go to everybody, and you can only ask everybody 2 questions. Yep. So just yes, yes. Remember, you can only sign each card 1 time. You can only sign each card 1 time. You're asking 2 questions in case the first one is no.
Well, I got you.
Okay.
Are you on a diet? Yes, honey.
Tell me your name. Tell me your name. Okay, yes.
I'm available for questions.
So only one person signs in one block.
Only 1 signature per block. Only 1 signature per block. And each person can only sign your card 1 time. No. Once you do the first one, then you have to.
Doing this all wrong. But I gotta ask you a second question.
No, but once I answer the first question, then
Oh,
so you get to ask up to 2 questions, but once it's a yes, you just one.
Are you good at math?
Okay, that's bingo number 1. Stacy has 1. Let's keep going. We have a few more minutes.
Okay, another question.
We have another bingo. Who was that other bingo? All right, Kathy has another bingo. Let's keep going.
What's the sometimes?
I've been listening to a lot of Christmas music right now.
Thank you.
Let me see. We have another bingo. Yay. Let's keep going. We have a few more minutes.
Let me see your bingo.
Oh, we have another bingo. Yes, I think that's bingo number 4. Yay.
Yes. Because that's all I tried to do. Hey, y'all tried to go all over the place because y'all wanted to ask the questions you wanted to ask.
Okay, we have about 4 minutes. 4 minutes. That was an easy question, wasn't it? That was an easy question. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, you didn't ask me.
Have you ever flown?
Yes.
And are you bilingual?
No.
Are you on the diet?
Yeah, kind of. Okay, we can say. What are you going to ask him?
Have you ever been?
I have.
I like what he told me. Go find somebody that don't have a ring on. Bingo!
Another bingo. I think we've had a bingo and a bingo. And another bingo.
Didn't work. Yes.
Another bingo. Yay. I think we're down to about 2 minutes. Bingo. We hear the bingo. Okay, if everybody can just take 1 minute and finish up, please. We got a lot of bingos. And so my initial strategy, so if we'll go ahead and start finishing up and walking to our tables. My original strategy was I was thinking that maybe just 1 or 2 people would win and I could offer them lunch with me as a reward. But like 50 people, well not 50 people, but like 10, 12 people bingoed. And I started adding up my dollars. And so I'm going to have to just say congratulations. Can everyone give yourselves a round of applause? And so Stacy was Stacy was the first person to finish. And when asked, or I don't know if someone asked her, but she volunteered the information that she was strategic about how she asked questions on her board. And so there were some other people that eventually got strategic about how they ask questions on the board. And so I want you to take maybe a minute or two, and on your color thingy with your expo, I want you to think about the 3 things that this taught you about maybe diversity, because it was human bingo. But let's think about strategy. What were 3 things that you gathered as a result? And I just want you to write them down on your color board thingy. And you have to write it kind of big if you can, because I do want us to share. And so everything that we talk about, remember we're adults and we can be open and honest because we need to have this dialogue. So whatever you write, it's okay. I prefer open, honest dialogue about the 3 things that you discovered with us playing. It was human bingo before we started, but I'm sure as y'all discovered, it became diversity bingo. So maybe another minute or 2. Okay, so let's take a few minutes and just talk about some of the things or some of your discoveries in playing human or diversity bingo. Does anybody want to volunteer one of their things? Okay. People are unique. So with what respect? What did you discover as far as uniqueness? Right, so we have different interests and different things that we have done that we might not realize about each other. So very good. And I'm sure a lot of us agree that we have a lot of unique things about us. Okay, Sergeant? So Sergeant tried to stereotype people. That's why I gave y'all the minute to look at the board, because that's exactly what I wanted you to do, to stereotype people. It's something that we do naturally, and it's okay, because, and just like as this activity helped us to discover, that sometimes our stereotypes, and I think somebody else said assumptions, are completely wrong, and that's okay. It's the whole idea of making the discovery and being open to understanding that we are all different, and just because we look a certain way doesn't mean that we've had certain experiences, but it doesn't mean that we have not had certain experiences. Okay, that was good. Thanks. Anybody else have one? Right, it did open up the lines of communication. So you had to go and I hope you went and asked someone a question. You didn't know their name, you didn't know who they were, but you felt like they might have fit one of the blocks. And so you went to them and asked them a question. And so that's another thing about diversity, is just being open enough to communicate with someone, because there's something that you might see in them that interests you, or there's something that you might need. It might be, for your benefit as well. Yes. And Steve, I want you to talk about your question, your first one. Or that you would offend them. So what questions did y'all steer away from because you felt like it would have been offensive? Are you divorced? And let me tell you this, that was a question that nobody asked me, and I am divorced, but Tim asked me because he got strategy from Ashley. So he didn't have to stereotype. All Tim had to do was look at my finger. All Tim had to do was look at my finger and see that I didn't have a ring on it. So Tim is the only person that asked me if I was divorced. But it wasn't a stereotype. It was because he had strategy. He looked at my finger. Okay, yes? Very true, very true. So I know that, and of course it was intentional, because I did some things that you automatically think only a certain race will participate in, like listening to country music. That kind of is something where you can look at certain types and you say, okay, you probably knew who you're going to ask if they listen to country music. The one were y'all picky about who you asked who seen Black Panther? So there was some people so there was some questions. Or what about the question about Fortnite? Who knows what Fortnite is? There are some people who don't know what Fortnite is. Fortnite is an online game. So you would have to be young or have some younger kids around to know what Fortnite is. Now, I found out about Fortnite because there's a guy who plays Fortnite on YouTube and makes $500,000 a month playing Fortnite on TV. What is his name? Ashley, you know the guy's name who makes $500,000? A YouTuber. Literally, he has used an online game. He YouTubes it. He's YouTubed with Drake and maybe Kanye. He's just YouTubed with these famous people. And so he literally makes $500,000 a month. So, yes, there's some good things going on with that younger generation and how they're figuring out how to capitalize on some of the things that's out there. So were there some other questions that was, yeah, oh, here's another one that I don't think many people ask. Being a vegetarian. Only one person asked me if I was a vegetarian, and I am. So why did nobody ask me if I was a vegetarian? Be honest. What did you assume? That what? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Someone actually said that to me because I asked her. She was directed to ask me the question about being a vegetarian because some people in here know that I'm a vegetarian. And so she was surprised that I was a vegetarian because I'm black and black people eat meat. Go figure. Any other ones that were hard to ask? The being on the diet one, I did get someone to ask me that one. But you know what was interesting to me? Nobody asked me if I had traveled to three or more different continents. Nobody asked me that. And I have. So, why? And so, the people that you ask who'd never flown before, was there a strategy behind that? Yeah. We can be honest. Flown, right, ever flown before. So was there a strategy about how you ask someone if they've never flown before? So yes, the intention was for some of the questions to be hard to ask because we are different and because there are stereotypes. And those stereotypes have come naturally. We look at the news, we read the newspaper, we've seen some things, we've had certain type of experiences. And so for us to have stereotypes or feelings about who would fit into each of those boxes is natural, but it doesn't have to be our limitation. And so that's why we're having a topic today talking about diversity and not letting diversity be a limitation, but how and why we should embrace diversity and move forward and be happy about the fact that we are not all the same, that everybody could not sign every box on that human bingo. It's good because we share different experiences and it helps bring different ideas to the table. Okay, so let's move on to the next. Anybody have any questions? We're good. Anybody have any comments that they'd like to add? All right. So, if you'll erase your color thingy, and I hope that paper works, and I want you to think about diversity. What is your one word? I want you to put that one word in big letters on the front, and then on the back, I want you to tell me why. And just be as brief as possible. So on the front of your color thingy, tell me what your one word is when you think diversity. And then on the back, I want you to just give me a brief reason as to why that's your one word. Make sure your word is super big because I'm going to have you do something with your one word. Okay, I'm going to give everybody about 1 minute. Okay, so if I could get everybody to hold up their one word on the count of 3. Because I am a teacher. Did I tell you I was a teacher at heart? So on the count of 3, I want everybody to hold up their word. 1, 2, 3. So what do I see? I see the question is diversity. What is your one word and why? So I see mixture, I see group, I see America, I see good, I see everybody unique. Is that one word or two? Unique insight. I see me for diversity. Me. Wow. People, unity, different, unique, multicultural, different. Community. I see inclusion. Yes. So will everyone just at your groups take 3 minutes to talk about your word and share your why? So just take about 3 minutes, and of course everyone can't, but if you would just share why you chose that word. Just in your groups, take about 3 minutes. Oh, you have to go.
I say because it's not just people, diverse people, it's things that we do, different things, religion, different, it's a whole mixture of things.
Average bear hunter. I mean, so I just think of myself as like really unique, but it's still I'm a minority in the sense that everybody is a minority because everybody is themselves alone, and so it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's negative. It's just me. I'm all over the human genome spectrum in terms of the things that I could fill out that are. I couldn't fill out the whole thing though, but like Dawn said, no one could, but we're all individuals and we're all unique and we're all worthy.
So I'm going to get Stacy to share because she's the only one that said me. And so I just wanted her to share. I did get a chance to listen to her talk a little bit about it. And yes, I'm putting her on the spot, so I hope that she'll graciously accept my challenge to explain her me.
Well, I probably said it better earlier. So I just said that diversity to me means me, not in a narcissistic kind of way, but I think as an individual type of way that we all are diverse. And a lot of times people associate diversity with minority and those sorts of things. In a sense, we all are a minority because we're all unique and we're our one person. But that's what makes us so beautiful too, because no one can be a better you than you. So, me.
And so she also went on to say that she's left-handed. You know, she's the only child. She's taller than the average person. Who did you play basketball or did you not play basketball?
I did not play basketball.
She did not play basketball. Go figure. How tall are you, Stacy?
But I was a scholar, yeah.
Yes. Go figure. Would y'all have looked at Stacy and thought that she played tennis instead of basketball? Go figure.
And I'm all over the place with the human bingo spectrum because I play a musical instrument, but no one would probably guess what musical instrument I can play.
I'm going to say tuba.
No.
Who else wants to guess? My first instinct was to say clarinet or flute. Drums? Double, like bass, boom, 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 boom. Wow. Never would have guessed. So we are really, really, really a diverse group of people. Okay, so what's next? And so as we talked about diversity, some of us talked about this, and this lends itself into kind of what Stacy was talking about the different dimensions of diversity. Age, if you look at us, they're different. You know, we're a diverse group as far as age is concerned. Race, we're not all the same race. We're all, different races. We're representing a lot of different races here today. Culture, we have different beliefs. We have different standards, different philosophies that we all experience and we live by. Gender, we're not all one. Though there's just two options, there are options, and so that makes it diverse. Religion, I'm sure that we all have it, we're not all Baptist, we're not all Pentecostal, we're not all Episcopal, we're not all Catholic, but we are a variety, or diverse, or different religions, and then our sexual orientation. So those are some of the dimensions or some of the things that we look at when we think about diversity. Okay, let's talk about this. Diversity in action. What does it look like? What does diversity in action look like? How do we put diversity into action? What are some of those diversity doings or doers? It is what we do, but what does it look like? Like, what does that mean? Right? So what about this? So what does diversity look like? So what is an action item that would go with diversity? Respect. We respect each other. So we're in this room, and we have not disrespected anyone. No one said, "You got a tattoo? Ooh, ooh." We didn't. Who rode motorcycles? We had some people who rode motorcycles. I'm sure that was an interest to some other people that they were riding motorcycles. Or divorced, even though no one wanted to ask us that question. I don't think there was anyone who just disrespects me now or doesn't respect me because I'm divorced, or maybe some other people are divorced. And so respecting that we're different is one way to put diversity in action. What are some other ways that we put diversity into action? Respect is a good one. Maybe understanding, trying to understand maybe some different cultures, or maybe why someone does the things they do, or they believe the way that they believe. And so understanding that that's their choice. They get to pick. We get to pick what we believe in. We get to pick where we go. We get to pick the way that we think about things. And so us trying to understand that just because we think that the sky is blue doesn't mean that everybody has to believe that the sky is blue. Some people can think that it's purple and yellow with polka dot stripes and a cow in it. And that would be their perspective of diversity, or their understanding, their perspective of the thoughts of clouds or the sky. Can anybody think of anywhere else we can put diversity in action? So we're going to respect other people. We're going to be respectful of who they are and their differences. We're going to try to understand maybe some of the why. Like maybe why does that person act that way? Why does that person believe that way? And what are some other ways we can put diversity in action? Inclusion. So maybe we can go to a Cinco de Mayo event, or maybe we can go to a Juneteenth celebration, or maybe we can participate in Kwanzaa, or maybe we can go to, and and I learned this one just yesterday. Yes, that one. Someone asked me that and I had to say no, even though I put it on the card. Or even understanding that. Or what about polling our students during Ramadan to find out which of our students are participating in Ramadan? Because for those, Ramadan is a Muslim holiday, and they fast, I think, from sunrise to sunset. So they don't eat anything, they don't touch anything. And so if we have students or co-workers that are participating in Ramadan, they're probably going to be a little weak towards the end of the day, maybe a little grouchy, towards the throughout the day, because they're not nourishing their bodies at all. And so it's understanding, and maybe for one day being the Ramadanian. Is that a word? Yeah. just to try to understand and be able to have sympathy and empathy for some things that people are going through, or things that they choose to embrace themselves in, or believe in, and share their beliefs with other people. So, when we think about diversity, do y'all think as a culture we fit in and we look like a melting pot, or do we stand out and look more like a salad bowl? Can y'all just go ahead and make a decision, write it down on your color thingies, as I call them? What do y'all think we are? A melting pot or a salad bowl? So on your color thingies, as I call them, what do y'all think we are as Americans, or even as a college? Do y'all think that we are a melting pot or a salad bowl? So I see some melting pots, and I see some salad bowls. And I see one person that actually said that they feel like we are a melting pot and we are a salad bowl. So if you would share why you think we're both. Let me bring you the mic.
All right, so I think we're a melting pot because, as we saw earlier, we all have very similar interests, even the ones that are different. It's not based on any specific thing. It's just we all have some same things and some different things. So I feel like it's more same, one culture, but at the same time, we always have more people coming in and having their own unique things, which would lean more towards the salad bowl. So I think both is a better fitting.
So in summary, it sounds like he said we're kind of still both, because as a melting pot, we do want to blend cultures, because and maybe not blending, but just sharing cultural beliefs, or sharing beliefs about our culture, or maybe inviting someone to come to some of our events, or some things that are expressions, are expressive of what we believe and why we do some of the things that we do. But at the same time, in being a salad bowl, we still want to be unique. Even if I or participate in one of your activities or one of your events, I still want to be my unique self. I still want to be able to go to your event and your activity and still have my beliefs and still stand for what I stand for, gaining the respect, however, for your beliefs and what you think and what you believe and why you function and make some of the decisions that you do. Promoting diversity. What does that look like? So on your color thingies, I like your color thingies, can you just give me one way you can promote diversity, or one way you're planning in moving forward to promote diversity? Okay, 1 minute. So y'all know what I want y'all to do. I'm going to want y'all to raise up y'all's color thingies so we can see your different answers. Okay, on the count of 3, I want you to raise your color thingies. 1, 2, 3. So we see. So the question is promoting diversity. What does it look like? What are you going to do to promote diversity? I said that we're going to educate people. We're going to participate in events of different cultures. We're going to be non-judgmental and being an active listener, accepting other cultures without judgment, listening more before judging, participate in activities that promote inclusion and honor diversity. Support interactions, be a mirror. be a mirror. Make sure that we're always looking at ourselves and judging. Continuing to respect all. Students, focus groups, including everyone, engaging everyone, reaching out, having more open discussions with other people, and not guessing, but engaging in those conversations. And then on the flip side of that, not getting offended if somebody stereotypes you, right? But maybe help to educate them and share with them why it was offensive to you, and this is why. Just sharing that, but not getting offensive and allowing that to be an opportunity for you to grow someone in an area that they just don't know about, right? Okay. So, food for thought, and I want to honor our time, so we'll have just a few more minutes. Food for thought. Do you bring your full self to work? Your ideas, your opinions, your personality, your background, some of your beliefs, your uniqueness? Do you bring your full self to work? Are there some things that you decide not to do or say for fear of judgment? Because you know that people don't understand and they won't understand, and they may hold that against you? Do you bring your full self to work? Benefits, real quickly, I'll go over these. There's some benefits to being diverse as far as classroom is concerned, as far as instruction is concerned, and as far as the workplace is concerned. Improve understanding of those you work with. Creates an environment for everyone to reach their fullest potential. Provides multiple perspectives when you're trying to problem solve, and better performance outcomes. Those are some of the benefits. Others are increased employee productivity, increased retention rates, boost employee morale, and improve customer relations. Those are just some of the benefits of acknowledging and embracing diversity in the workplace, in the classrooms, just in you, in your being. Research says that workforce diversity is positively associated with high performance outcome measures. Here again, both places, so workplace diversity, racial diversity, they both have a positive impact on performance outcomes. Gender diversity does as well, positive impact on performance outcomes, which is something that we're measured by. We as a college are measured by our performance outcomes. And finally, diverse teams are more creative and perform better in problem solving than teams that are all the same, where everybody looks alike. Would everybody agree with that? Yeah. Lessons learned. Defining diversity solely as race and gender is not a good thing. As we learned today, we're more than race and gender. Everybody agree? So diversity in the workplace, what does it look like? Demographics should be different. Knowledge, skills, and abilities should be different. Values, beliefs, attitudes, different. Personalities, different. There should be some extra people in your group. There should be some quiet thinkers in your group. There should be some loud leaders in your group. You want the diversity of those people in your groups, whether or not it's a challenge or not. You do want to have that diversity because we all bring so many different things to the table. And when defining diversity, you have to think about how people think, how they think, because that's when those creative ideas come into place. Those are some resources. If you want a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, I'm happy to share it with you. Anybody have any questions? Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it. Have a good day. Thanks so much.
think this will work. We can try. Hold on. Let's see how this does. Because this might just be sufficient. I have my little. Well, can you think? Go see if you can hear it over there. Yeah. Is it coming out of? You can hear it. All right, we'll just leave it. You can hear it. That's right. Yeah, I think that's best. Yep, that'll be great. Do you think I need to use the mic probably? Okay, perfect. Okay. Now, do I need to be up high for them streaming? Because if I do, I need to just maybe I just need to figure out how to lift it up. It's good, but I just want to make sure I've got it. Can he see the products right here in front or no? I usually am a walker, and I actually was going to go down there, but if you need me up here, I can stay up here and I can just bring the products. Yeah, okay. So, oh, wow, sorry. So there is an exercise portion of this workshop at the very end. It'll be about 12 minutes, so or 10 minutes. I actually will be moving during that portion. So is it better for me to be like out here? I mean, if you're screaming, I need to be up high instead of down low. Yeah. I'm not jumping. We're not jumping or anything. We're just moving. So you're okay. No sweat here. I promise. You're gonna love it. Yeah. Picks up all the little. Good morning, everyone. I have 11 o'clock, and so I'm supposed to start at 11 o'clock. I love to start on time and finish on time, so are y'all ready? All right. My name is Susan Cruz, and I am so excited to be here. I have done several presentations over the past couple of years for Tanya Weary at a variety of places. And just to give you a little bit of background about me, I am a health and wellness coach, and I am also the CEO and president and founder of Huntsboro Hemp Company, which is in Granville County. So I'm super excited about that. I'm all about health and wellness and love to learn and share all kinds of great things about how to take care of yourself, especially in this busy, busy world that we live in. So today I'm going to talk to you or share with you four specific points. The first thing that I'm going to share with you is about sugar. I believe that sugar is the biggest cause of our society being overweight. And I'll share some really interesting facts about sugar. I will share with you a little bit about sleep habits. I will share a little bit with you about breathing and breathing techniques. And then we'll end with a short exercise portion of the workshop that'll be a lot of fun because many of us struggle with going to a gym or we don't want to go to a gym. You don't have to go to a gym to get in your movement that you need each and every day. And so this is where we'll start. So I hope that, especially in this first portion of the workshop, that you learn something about sugar and that you realize it's a very simple change to make in your diet. Now, I want to tell you before we get started, I'm the mom of 4 children. My 4 children were born within 5 years, i.e., Jenna was not 5 years old when William, number 4, was born. So we had a very action-packed, busy life. When they were in high school, we didn't know when and where we were going to be together for a meal. So we really had to work. So I'm really not trying to preach to the choir. I'm only trying to share what I have learned through those experiences. And then I also just want to share a little bit more about living healthy in our busy, busy world. So do y'all know what sugar is? What is sugar? It's a simple carbohydrate. That's all that sugar is. We have sugar that is naturally formed in our foods and that turn into sugar in our bodies, and we need it. Okay? I'm not saying we don't need any sugar. We also have refined sugar, white sugar that we buy in the bags at the grocery store. So naturally occurring sugar in our foods is very, very different than the refined sugar that we buy in the grocery store. Okay? So starting out, I have a question. Does anybody know how many teaspoons of sugar you should have a day? No, I see some heads shaking no. This is where I find it very interesting. Most people have no clue. And for the longest time, I had no clue either. So, men, you guys are really lucky because in your diet daily, you should have about 9 teaspoons of sugar. And this is what 9 teaspoons of sugar looks like. Okay? Ladies, we aren't quite as lucky because many of us have sweet teeth. We should only have about 6 teaspoons of sugar a day. Okay? And our children, a child should only have 3 to 4 teaspoons of sugar a day. That's not very much. So, interesting fact. In America, by the time a child reaches 8 years old, they have already consumed more sugar than someone who lived to be 65 years old in the 1930s. Wow. To me, that's just really astonishing. One other thing about sugar, did y'all know that sugar is addictive? Yep. And one thing that really interests me is the fact that sugar is as addictive as heroin. It has been proven scientifically that it is as addictive as heroin. But sugar is not classified in any of our danger drugs, right? Marijuana, on the other hand, is classified in the same category as heroin, which I think is just very interested in being in the CBD industry. But anyway, going back to our sugar, it is very addictive. The reason that it is so addictive is because when you have such a small amount, guess what you want? More. Exactly right. In addition to that, you want more. But when you take sugar out of your diet, what happens? You withdraw. Do you know what those symptoms are? You can have a headache. You could possibly have aches and pains. You could feel tired. You could almost feel like you have the flu. All of these are symptoms from pulling sugar out of your diet, which is very interesting to me. So anyway, let me share a few interesting facts. I'm going to have to carry the microphone. So as I told you, men, 9 teaspoons a day. Women, 6 teaspoons a day. Children, 2 to 3 teaspoons of sugar a day. So when a baby is first learning to eat, what is one of the first foods we give them? Cheerios. Yes. As a mom of 4 children, when my children were little, I carried these with me in Ziploc bags. And if they got hungry, I could toss it over my shoulder in the car and they could have a snack, or I could pull it out in the stroller and they had a snack. So let me tell you about a serving of Cheerios. This container, they say, is 1 serving. It is 2 ounces. So when you look at it, it contains 17 grams of sugar. How do you convert that to figure out how many teaspoons it is? On one of the sheets that I gave you, it says be a sugar detective. So if you take the grams of sugar and divide it by 4, that's how many teaspoons of sugar is in a product. Okay? So if there's 17 grams of sugar in these Cheerios, and my child eats the entire serving at one time, they're having about 4.5 teaspoons of sugar a day. That's just from Cheerios. That could be just their snack or their breakfast. And if you go back to what I said earlier, they only need 3 to 4. So if I've given them 1 serving of this cereal, I've already given them more sugar than they need in 1 day. Would that be where I would stop with their diet, with having this product in their diet? I also brought I brought my son's favorite. This one is Captain Crunch. Anybody love Captain Crunch? And even my 30-year-old son is super excited because Crunch Berries, Christmas Crunch Berries, comes out right now. And I told him, please don't eat it. 19 grams of sugar. Wow. Once again, that's over 4 teaspoons. But here's where I find it quite interesting. When you look at orange juice, how many of you love store-bought orange juice? Some of you? Yeah, really. And I heard it over here. It is loaded with sugar. So what they say about this container here, it's 12 fluid ounces, and they say it's 1 serving. Okay? Typically, when I was in college studying food and nutrition, a serving of a beverage was 8 ounces. So now the manufacturer is telling me that this 12 ounces is 1 serving. We've supersized everything. So it has, are you ready? 34 grams of sugar in this 1 bottle of orange juice. This, well, that's the Coke, but this is about what it looks like. That much sugar in that orange juice. So needless to say, for me and my family, and that's what it is. It's for me and my family. We no longer purchase orange juice from the grocery store. If we want orange juice, I purchase oranges and I squeeze them myself, because that way I know that I'm not getting the added sugar to the product in the processing. So I think it's very interesting. I am married to a good old Southern farm boy, and he loves to get up in the morning and have a cold Coke. He doesn't drink coffee, he drinks cold Coke. And I keep begging him, please, before you ever drink that Coke, at least drink a glass of water to wake up your body before you put the sugar from the sodas into it. This is where I also find it quite interesting. Here is a can of Coke, which is 12 ounces. They say this is 1 serving. This can has, I should know by now, 39 grams of sugar. So divided by 4, it's a little over 8 teaspoons of sugar. My husband's already met his sugar intake for the day before he ever has anything else in his body. That's not good. And if you drink 2 or 3 of these a day, imagine how much sugar. Now, I want to tell you, I am not anti-sodas. For me, I choose not to drink them. I'm not trying to bash the companies. I really am only trying to share awareness so that you understand exactly how much sugar you're actually putting into your body and what it does for you. But this is another interesting fact. So now I'm holding a 16-ounce bottle of Coca-Cola, and guess what they tell me on the back? 1 serving. You buy the small cans of Coke that are 8 ounces, and guess what it's going to tell me on the back? 1 serving. So I find that quite interesting. Do y'all find that interesting? So what is 1 serving? You know, we go back to, truthfully, 1 serving of a beverage is 8 ounces. And so that's how marketing and companies have gotten more of this product into our bodies. I think about this when I was a little girl, and once a week, it was a big deal to go to McDonald's. Once a week, we got to go and get the meal. Well, do you remember the sizes of the sodas you got when you went there? They were little, like the large was this big. And now think of what a large is. So a large soda is 32 ounces. And if you're drinking 32 ounces times 7 or 8 teaspoons of sugar, you've had 40 grams of sugar just from your soda. So one of the things I chose to do, and this is just me, is I chose to quit drinking my calories. So I no longer drink sweet tea, and that's really tough for a good Southern girl. And then I've also quit drinking sodas. One of the questions I often get is, well, what about diet sodas? How many of us prefer diet sodas versus regular sodas? Lots of some hands, few, right. Well, that's what I drank. I loved Tab growing up, and then I loved Diet Coke. But the challenge with that is it has so many artificial flavorings and artificial sugars and sweeteners in it that I have discovered in my research that that's more challenging for your body than drinking the real sugar. Just food for thought, something to think about. I bought another one of my husband's favorites. He loves Reese's Cups. And this pack of 2 Reese's Cups is, once again, 1 serving, both of them, and it has 22 grams of sugar. And this is pure refined sugar that your body has trouble breaking it down. So I think when we think about sugar, we need to think about where we're getting it from and actually how much we are intaking. My rule of thumb is if a product has more than 8 grams of sugar in it, I will not purchase it from the grocery store. That's what I use as my judgment rule. The other thing that when I am purchasing yogurt, that it's very, very, very different than if you were just purchasing cookies or bread or cereals, products of that nature. When you're purchasing a milk-based product, it's lactose instead of sucrose that's in it, and it reacts with your body very differently. So you do have to think about that. Another thing that I usually show, and I don't have any today, would be energy bars. Do many of you eat energy bars or drink energy drinks when you're working out or after you work out or before? Some of us might. Those you have to look at very carefully as well. They are loaded with sugar. However, they're loaded with protein. And so when you combine the protein and the sugar together, it has a totally different reaction within your body. So the sucrose, the refined sugar that I've really been talking about here, when you consume it, it spikes your blood. And it causes your blood sugars to go up, they get high, and then they crash. So when they crash, you actually are feeling that low energy. Okay? Any questions about sugar? Any thoughts? Here, okay. Just a couple other interesting facts that I'd like to share about it. In 1822, just over 150, 200 years ago, 150 whatever years ago, an average American only consumed 20 pounds of sugar in a year. Okay? Because what were they doing? They were growing their food, they were eating from gardens, they were making their own wheat locally in their own homes or whatever. Guess how many pounds of sugar the average American eats today? It's over 100. 130 pounds of sugar. So can you imagine going to the grocery store, buying 13 10-pound bags of sugar, and that's what the average American consumes a day? A year. That would be horrible if it was a day. Sorry about that. So in a whole year. I think that's very, very interesting as well. The other thing that eating too much sugar, do y'all know some of the illnesses and diseases that it's been related to? Obesity, diabetes, migraine headaches. Some of the others, nervous tension or fatigue, aching limbs, our joints hurting. A lot of times, think about it, especially now with all the knee surgeries and hip surgeries that we're having, much of that is, I wouldn't necessarily say caused, but I would say irritated by extra weight. For every pound that we're overweight, it puts 7 pounds of pressure on your knees. So that's another thing to think about in that area. Anybody have any ideas of how to get yourself off of eating so much sugar? Any suggestions? You replace it with natural sugars and with fruits, and that's great. And fruits are wonderful, and we need them. You just want to make sure you don't eat too many of the fruits. Example, grapes. I love grapes. But do you know how many, on average, is a serving of grapes? Yeah, it's between 10 to 12, 10 to 13. So if you're like me, I just pull up a whole bunch, and I usually probably eat too many. So that's something to think about. I think if you are aware of sugar, that reducing it just a little bit in your diet could make a big difference within your body. It helps to reduce inflammation, and it's the interior inflammation that is causing all of our health issues. Cancer loves sugar. Let me say that again. Cancer loves sugar. And so that is one thing that we really, you need to think about. Don't feed your body that. It's a choice. You make a choice every day. You can choose to eat healthy, or you can choose to eat lots of refined foods and refined sugar, and that's your choice. So I just challenge you to think about it. I handed out 2 sheets that are just information. There are a boatload of names for sugar, and many of us don't even know all of them. So make yourself aware of the names that sugar are called, so that when you're reading labels, become a detective and see how much sugar is actually in your body or in your product that you're buying, and then you can cut it down a little bit. So that's the first part, sugar. The next thing I want to talk about just very briefly is sleep. I am a huge fan of Arianna Huffington. She wrote a book called Thrive. She is the creator of the Huffington Post, if any of you have followed that. But she is a very successful woman and has done quite well. And in her book, she says, ladies, you need to sleep your way to the top. And I'm like, what? But not literally. You need to get your sleep. And this goes to our very busy, fast-paced life. We want to push ourselves so hard that we are not stopping to get enough sleep. That good old rule still applies. The average person, now remember, we're all quite different, but the average person still needs about 8 hours of sleep a night. Now, some people need more, some people need a little less. But when you get enough sleep, you are able to use your mind so much better, because during the night your body is healing and your mind is resting, it's clearing out, cells are rebuilding, and you wake up with the energy to work through the day. And so that, to me, is just needs to be noted and talked about whenever you're talking about health and wellness. The other thing that I love to talk about here is I love to talk about breathing. It is the one thing that you can do without controlling. You do it every day, all day, and you never control it. It just happens. It's involuntary. But you can also do breathing techniques that you can control. So when you are driving down the road and somebody pulls in front of you, what's the first thing you do? Slam on brakes. And then you go, and you hold your breath, right? Many times when I'm talking to small business owners and they are working so hard on getting to a deadline and they're crunching, and they're working, and then all of a sudden they hear that a client doesn't want their product or there's a big hiccup. And what happens? They hold their breath. What am I going to do? How am I going to meet the bills? Or how am I going to do this? So if you learn how to breathe through that, or either train yourself through breath work in the morning and at night, your body is better prepared to handle those kind of situations. So my favorite breathing technique has been created by Dr. Andrew Weil. Weill is how you spell your name. And you can Google this and see this technique. But his technique is called the 4-7-8. And what that simply means is you're going to breathe in through your nose to the count of 4. You're going to hold your breath to the count of 7. And you're going to exhale to the count of 8. And what this does is this helps to calm your nervous system. So as I've mentioned, I was a mom, and when my teenagers would make me angry, you know what you want to do? You want to look at them and start yelling, right? Or let what's coming in your mind come out. But what I learned is if I would stop and take in a big breath and exhale it really nicely, that most, not all, but most of the time, I would be able to talk to them in a much calmer, kinder way. So the breathing technique I now practice twice a day, and this is what Dr. Weil suggests. Practice it in the morning before you get out of bed, and then practice it at night right before you go to bed. And if you have trouble sleeping, like you get in the bed and your mind starts racing, this is a wonderful technique to do. So I'm going to demonstrate it. It's kind of hard to demonstrate, but I'm going to demonstrate it, and then I'm going to let you try it. But anyway, as I'm breathing in, I'm going to count to 4. Then I'm going to hold my breath and count to 7. And then I exhale to 8. It's a lion's breath, is what in yoga, that's what we call the lion's breath. So it's inhale to 4. Hold to 7, exhale to 8. Would y'all like to try it? All right. If everybody will just kind of put your feet flat and sit up straight, that helps. You can also do this lying flat in the bed. You can do it driving down the road, but I don't always suggest that. Maybe if you're at a stop sign, you can do that. Last night I was caught in that wreck at literally right behind the fire truck. And so I used this to sort of settle me down during that. But anyway, here you go. You breathe in through your, I'm just going to tell you one last time, and then I'm going to say go, and I'll count. Breathe in for 4. We're going to hold for 7, and breathe out for 8. So here we go. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. And hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. And I did skip because I had spoken during that time. But if you'll Google it, and then if you will practice it, you will learn at how this technique can relax your body. And it does all kinds of great things within your body for creating a sense of homeostasis, a sense of relaxation. It calms your nervous system. And I promise, once you get better at it, your body will say thank you for learning how to do that. And so from here, we're going to go into one of my favorite parts of this particular talk, and one of Tanya's favorite parts. It's an exercise portion. Now, if you were to answer to yourself, or truthfully, or actually I'd like to see a show of hands, how many of you get in 30 minutes of exercise a day? There are a few of us, okay? Great. How many of us feel like we're too busy and we do not have time to exercise? Yep, thanks, be honest. Yeah, a lot of us, right? How many of us here think that the only way to get in really good exercise is to either go to the gym or to have weights in my home where I have to do it that way? Anybody think like that? No? Okay. Some of us do? Yeah. Okay. So to give you a little more background about me, when I was a young girl, I was in 5th grade, my father put me on Weight Watchers. And it was a cursing and a blessing. It was the cursing because I learned at a very young age that what number was on the scale determined my beauty, right? That's not a very positive thing. So that was the curse. It was a blessing because I learned at a very young age how to eat. But what I haven't done my whole life is I haven't followed that. You would say my body's been like a Dunkin' yo-yo. It's gone in and out, in and out. And I have accomplished gaining and losing weight. I've probably lost over 500 pounds in my lifetime. I've probably gained over 500 or 600 pounds in my lifetime. But I thought that I had to be thin or have a certain number on the scale to be beautiful. So to do that, I did one or two things. When I would overeat, I would over-exercise. Or I would undereat and over-exercise. And in my mind, I thought I had to go to a gym and get on a treadmill or a stair stepper, and that after I did that, then I had to lift weights. And I had to be able to push a lot of weight. And that's what I would do. I would do this over and over again, and I'd get really fit, really thin, and then I would go back to eating wrong. And then my weight would catch back up with me. And what would I do? Start that vicious cycle all over again. So I tell you that story because it was when I was 48 that I learned I don't have to do that. I don't have to be cruel to my body. I am beautiful as I am. That number meant nothing. So I ditched the scale and I decided I needed to find exercise that worked for me. An exercise that I love. And so here I am 8 years later, and I still have exercise that I love and exercise that I enjoy. You know, I have on a loose dress, but if I had on my yoga clothes, you could see I'm not thin, but I'm not heavy, but I feel good about me. And that's what everybody wants to do. Just feel good about you wherever you are. But with all that being said, it is very important that we move every single day. Our bodies were created to move. And as I spend more and more time with my parents in a retirement community, guess who are the people that are struggling the most? The people who don't exercise. The people that I see out there walking or playing tennis or in gym class or swimming. These people are healthier people. So I'd like to help you overcome the ideas that you have to go to a gym. How many of you sit at a desk all day long? Okay, lots of hands went up. And that's where this type of exercise can come in really handy if you can break it into 10-minute increments. Okay? So what I want you to do is, sitting where you are, I want you, if you want to turn your chair facing me, that's fine. But I want you just to sit where you are, get comfortable, put your feet flat on the floor, and we are going to do a fun exercise session here so you can see how easy it is to exercise when you're sitting right at your desk. Okay, and so here we go. All right, can y'all hear the music? Yep. So what I'd like for you to do is put your feet flat on the floor, sit up nice and tall, lengthen your back, take the top of your head, the crown of your head, push it towards the ceiling, close your eyes, and just breathe naturally. Don't change a thing right now. Feel your breath as it comes in through your nose, goes through your lungs, and comes back out. Take about 2 or 3 more breaths here. Sorry. Take about 2 or 3 more breaths here. And now I'd like you to take a big inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. One more time. And last breath. And open your eyes. And as you inhale, bring your hands up over your head. And as you exhale, bring your hands back down by your side. And one more time, bring your hands up over your head. And bring your hands back down your side. Now bring your hands and put them in your lap. And I want you to bring your toes, come up on your toes, and then put your feet down. And then come up on your toes, both toes together, and your feet down. Up on your toes, and down, and up, and down. One more time, up, and down. And now bring your toes up and your arms up, and back down. Bring your hands up, and back down, and up, and back down. One more time, up and down. Come back to sitting straight and tall. One more big breath in, and exhale. And if you're sitting close to your table, you might need to push back a little bit, because now what we're going to do is just right where you are, stand up, and then sit down. And stand up and sit down. One more time, up and down. And here you go, last time up. And now we're going to march in place. Get moving just a little bit. Have a little fun. Relax your arms. Swing them by your side. There you go. And we're going to just march right here. And now bring your hands up. And we're going to alternate our arms going up. There you go. Right here. You're right here at your desk, in your office. Anybody can do this, correct? Now bring your arms down shoulder height. Circle forward. Keep your feet moving. And you have a choice. You can just move your feet slightly like this, or you can bring your knees up higher, whichever way, but keep your arms moving. Now let's circle them back. There you go. Keep going. All right. Now bring your arms down to your hips. Bring your feet back together. And if you need to hold on to something to balance, that's fine. Take your right leg out to the side. Back and forth. And you should be feeling this nicely in your glutes here. 2 more. And bring your foot down. And guess what? Let's go to the left. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Bring your foot down. March back in place. Hands down by your side. Is anybody starting to feel this a little bit in your heart rate? Yeah, just this little bit of motion is getting your heart rate. So we're going to march 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come back and bring your hands to your hips. Take your right leg and you're going to go straight back and down. 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 Back. Last one. Back and down. Switch legs. Back, down, back, down, back, down, back. 2 more. Last one. Come back together and march it out. Starting to feel that a little bit, right? Some of us more than others. Those of us who work out, you may not be feeling it quite as much. Those of us who don't move much, guess what? We're starting to be able to tell the difference, okay? So here we go. Ready? Back up with our arms. Do them together. Up. There you go. Together. There we are. 4 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. And back to marching in place. There we go. All right. 7, 8. Now, bring your feet together. Take your right foot, point your toe forward, side, back. Point that toe so you've got that leg nice and tight. Forward, side, back. Forward, side, back. Forward, side, back. Last one, forward, side, and back. Bring your feet together. And here we go with the other leg. Forward, side, back, forward, side, back, forward, side, back, forward, side. 2 more. Side and back. Together. Bring your 2 feet together. Sorry about that. And march it out. So there you go. We're keeping it going, and we're going to take our arms back up to our shoulder height. Arms out. And circle forward. One more time. And circle back while we're marching in place. And if you're marching, if you've moved away from your chair, go back to your chair so that you can get in front of your chair. Bring your arms down by your side, and it's very simple. You're going to sit down in your chair and stand back up. Sit down and stand up and sit down and stand up. Believe it or not, this is incredible. Sit down and stand up. And for your last time, sit down. Yeah. So now what I want you to do is we're going back to where we came from. Start by lifting your toes up and bring them down. Toes up and down. Up and down. Did some of us get our heart rate up a little bit? And so if you did, you want to come back to where you started. And it's important to stretch and come back down. So now take both of your legs and stretch them out in front of you. You can have them in the air, or you can have your heels on the floor and point your toes and flex your toes. And point and flex and point and flex point, and flex. 2 more times, point and flex. Bring your feet back down. And inhale, bring your hands up over your head. And exhale, bring your hands back down. And one more time, inhale, bring your hands back up. And exhale, bring your hands back down. Last time, bring your hands up. Exhale, leave them up, leave them up. Exhale, inhale. And exhale, bring your hands down. And inhale, bring your hands together at heart center. Close your eyes. Take a breath in through your nose. And exhale through your mouth. And again, take a breath in through your nose. And exhale through your mouth. One more time. Pause here with your eyes closed for just a moment, offering gratitude just for those few moments of movement. Thanking your body for the amazing machine that it is, for enabling you to be able to move, to think, to breathe. Offering gratitude for a moment of stillness. And very slowly open your eyes and bring your hands down. That was a very, very short workout. How long do you think we were moving? Sorry? 10? It was about 7. So we really weren't moving that long, but that little bit of movement hopefully woke your body up. So what I know for Tanya, after talking with her several times and talking about her work schedule, she has a very busy work schedule. She's also a mom of 3 boys, and exercising and moving was very difficult for her. So what she started doing was bringing her shoes to work. And so she tries to get in some movement, some walking at lunch. There's all kinds of ways to bring movement into our daily life. I know that a lot of people have chairs on wheels, so you want to scoot to where your stuff is. But even making yourself get up to go somewhere and walk is a big deal. Another thing that I would like to bring awareness to, and that I've learned once again from being around my parents in their retirement community, is many of us lose the ability to really reach high. And so I'm in the process of getting ready to move into a new home, and I very intentionally have placed things where Jimmy or I have to reach for them. And that's nothing more than making us move. It's not certainly not convenience, and I can tell you he's going to roll his eyes at me. But the more you move doing simple tasks, the better your body is prepared for the day. All right? With something simple like this, just getting some music on your phone or somehow coming in, do you see how you could get some exercise into those few breaks in the day? Does anybody can you tell you exercised just a few minutes ago? Anybody? Yeah? All right. What questions might you have for me, either about sleep, about breath work, about nutrition, or health and wellness in general, or movement? Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
One of the main issues that I run across is trying to cut out our
Right.
artificial sweetener, trying to don't have a whole lot of time to cook.
Right.
And so I often will hit up cookout.
Yeah?
It's my weakness.
You're not alone. Yes. Yes. Okay. Perfect. So the question is twofold, and it's actually a very good question, and you are not alone in these challenges. So the first question was, I don't have a lot of time, and therefore it's much simpler, I'm paraphrasing, to go through drive-throughs. And so time is an issue with preparing your food. The second question, or part of the question, is what would be your tip or your suggestion? Because healthy foods are more expensive than some of the other foods or going out to eat. And there is a lot of truth in that question and in that statement. When you think about the grocery store, your natural foods, your fruits, your vegetables, they're on the outside of the grocery store, and that is the most expensive part of your grocery store. In the middle aisles are all of your prepared foods and meals, your canned foods, your fast meals, etc. They tend to be less expensive. So there's a couple of things that I suggest. One of them being, if you find yourself having to go to a fast food place, which you do. I mean, I'd love to tell this story. One time, my daughters had a friend spending the night with her, and it was a Saturday morning, and so the children got up for Saturday morning, and I said to the guest, I said to her, I said, what would you like for breakfast this morning? And she looked at me, she says, well, tell me where you're going and I can tell you what number. She was 7. And so it just goes to show we do that, whereas my kids were trying to decide were they going to get lucky and have pancakes. So what you want to do is being prepared is the best thing you can do, planning. And it does take time. The other thing that I love is we follow a rule. I cook once and we eat 2 or 3 times. Now, my husband doesn't like leftovers. So I had to learn how to be creative. So I might boil a chicken or roast a chicken. I usually will roast a chicken. So the first night we might have sliced chicken, okay? Then after we eat, I pull it off the bone, and then the next night we might have chicken salad. Or I have a dish that I blend it with some things and cook it as a casserole. So that is one way that helps. I know on Pinterest and a lot of people who have followed me, I use Sunday as my prep day. I get my veggies, I cut them all up. So all during the week, if I'm cooking a soup, I can just reach in and grab my stuff. So being prepared and planning is the first step or the place that I would start. When I do go to fast food places, the things that I try to do for me is not eating the bun. You know, just eat the meat, not the bun, or get chicken nuggets. Don't get a chicken sandwich. The salads at most of the places are great, but the problem is when you add their salad dressings on them. Their salad dressings have loads of sugar. So I will try to do the oil and vinegar or just make some changes there. But truthfully, the biggest and best thing you can do is to find a little bit of time and plan. And I usually plan my meals for 2 weeks at a time. And then I can't grocery shop right now for 2 weeks at a time. But I grocery shop for the 1 week at a time and cook. So any other suggestions? Anybody? Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's great and a wonderful question. So the question is about apples and oranges and fruit. So that's fructose, which is a different type of sugar. When you buy orange juice in the bottle, it has refined sugar in it and it has no pulp. So when you drink this, the sugar that is in here very quickly goes into your blood, okay? But when you eat an apple or an orange, both of them have fiber in it. So you are having to chew it. And as you are chewing it, you are breaking that sugar down, and it gets into your system much, much slower. So, yes, I strongly believe in eating fruits. I believe that you can't overeat them and think it's not bad. But if you're going to have fruits, eat the raw fruits that you chew and let that sugar get into your body much slower. Does that answer that? You're welcome. Thank you. Did you have a question or suggestion? Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Mm-hmm. It. That's great. Put on the music. The planning is huge. If you know what you're going to eat, then you don't find yourself quickly going through a drive-through. Crock pots are great. Instapots are great. I don't have an Instapot, but it's great. The keto lifestyle is huge right now. If that's something you're interested in, there are all kinds of plans and recipes and ideas out there. I tell you, I also love getting a lot of my vegetables at Walmart. The Walmart prices around here are fabulous. And so I will get my vegetables from there and use them as well. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Exactly. 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 Prep is huge. Any other questions or comments? No? Well, once again, my name is Susan Cruz, and I am delighted to be here. I hope that you took away one golden nugget from the day, whether it's just thinking that maybe I'll think about the sugar that I'm consuming and cut back. Here we are at Thanksgiving, a time where we love to eat, and you know what? We should. Thanksgiving is a celebratory meal. And I believe in enjoying those celebratory meals. I believe in my dessert with that meal as well. And I hope you too will do that. But I also think that if we just take a look at our everyday lifestyle, a small change, just cutting back one soda or cutting out that store-bought orange juice or getting rid of box cereal. One little thing like that can make a big difference in your health within. Also, think about your breathing techniques, think about your sleeping habits, and then lastly, move your body. Whether it's walking or just doing exercise like we did here, to going to the gym, to yoga, to swimming, whatever it is you might love, find that and then do it, and do it consistently, whatever that looks like for you. All right? And with that, I thank you all for coming today. Thank you.